penetration sucks. And the gun is on the rear. When you're sure you've seen enough of this tank, well, hang on. The penetration's good. The alpha is good too. And all your enemies hurt sometimes. Sometimes everything is wrong. Like the words of this song. Hello and welcome to Reginaldesq. I'm Underhook and this is my review of the Soviet or Russian Tier 7 medium tank, the A-44. So, is it any good? I would say it's average. It has some really good things, but it has some major negative things as well. So, yeah, I mean, it has almost no gun depression. I think about 3 degrees of gun depression, something like that. And its accuracy is terrible, but the alpha's very good and the penetration's quite good. So you don't really have to use premium ammunition in this tank. Now, I am ably assisted in this review by Icarus007, who has been a subscriber to this channel forever, I think, for years. And he often corrects me when I make mistakes in my videos. He's pretty helpful, actually. Now, normally for players submitting replays when I do reviews, it's normally I only do premium tanks. I only accept replays from premiums, and you have to use less than 3 premium shells in the game as well. But this is a non-premium tank, but it's also a tank I'm probably not going to drive or get around to driving for years. So I thought, he submitted this, so I thought, okay, we'll put this one up. And he has a really good game in it. So let's get in, have a look at the tank comparison, and then have a quick look at the armor for it and get into some gameplay. We are on the Tanks GG website. I have a selection of tanks here. On the left we have, of course, the A-44 that we're reviewing. And because the A-44 doesn't have a lot of good armor, I've put the Leo and T-20 next to it. They're both tanks that have minimal armor. Then we have the Comet, which has a bit of turret armor, I guess you could say. T-43 and the Panther also have a bit of turret armor, so a little bit different tanks. So the A-44 DPM is kind of not great, but not terrible, I guess you could say. Penetration is good though, 167 mils of penetration. The only one in this selection of tanks that has more is the Panther with 198. The Panther is famously a very good sniper tank because of that good pen. But 167 is pretty good pen, so you can look down here. The worst of the bunch is the T-43 with just 144, Comet 148, and these others 155, 160. To give you a bit of an idea, the IS Tier 7 Russian tank, heavy tank, has 175 mils of penetration, so 167 for a medium isn't too bad. Damage of 300 per round is really, really good and can surprise some of your opponents. Same as the Leo. The Leo also does 300, and I did find with the Leo that you could really rock people's world when you penetrate them. They're not expecting it often from a medium. T-20 does 240, which is pretty good. The Comet's only 140, T-43 is 180, and the Panther is only 135. But the Panther has fantastic pen and very good reload. So looking here now at our reload, we have 10.5 seconds to load the shell. Not bad for considering it's 300 alpha damage. The Leo takes longer at 11.25, so definitely does better than the Leo in that respect. 9.4 on the T-20, and we go all the way down to 3.9 for the Comet load time and 4 for the Panther. So caliber of the gun, it's 107, which is kind of good. It is the biggest of the guns in the selection. So chances of overmatching, say, 30 mils or whatever of armor is pretty good in this tank. So you've got more chances of overmatching people's thin side armor, etc. Shell velocity of 830 is kind of so-so. It's not terrible, but it's not very good. So hitting moving targets, especially at long range, is difficult in this tank. The ammo capacity of 60 is more than you will or I will ever need. aiming time of 3.4 is pretty bad. So whilst we had a better reload than the Leo, that's about where it ends as far as benefits compared to the Leo. 3.4 terrible, only 3 seconds of Leo, and it does the same alpha damage. So yeah, it's a bit of a worry that the aim time in this tank. 2.3 for all of the other tanks, but of course their alpha damage is lower. 0.45 dispersion is awful, and the tank doesn't appear to be very accurate. But these stats, as we know, are kind of fiction anyway. I can tell you the Panther is quite accurate. The others, though, probably pretty similar. The dispersion from the gun whilst moving or traversing the tank is the best in the group, so it doesn't lose as much accuracy while moving around, but then it's off coming from a really bad base. Elevation of 15 is pretty awful, and the depression of 3 is horrible. If you look at all of these other tanks, all like the T-43 Panther, are the low, they have 8, so they can still hill fight. Comet has a fantastic 12, the other two have 10, so gun depression on this is terrible, especially when compared to its competitors. Forward speed of 59 though is good. The only one faster is the Leo at 60. The Leo also has a better power to weight ratio, so it's a much better tank as far as that goes. So power to weight though, weight 38 tons is heavy though. So you can ram the Leo, even if you can't outperform its gun. And the only one you wouldn't want to ram is the Panther at 45. Never ram a German tank as a general rule. As I say, power to weight ratio isn't great. The terrain resistances are really bad. Are really good in this tank. It's only on the soft resistance that in the effective soft resistance that the Leo and T20 have an advantage. Everywhere else, this tank has better resistances than most of the other tanks. The turret traverse of 38 is pretty good. Sort of average, I guess, in the middle ground there, but the track traverse is the best of this bunch by a fair way. 44, none of the others even make it to 40. So the tank is quite maneuverable, but it needs to be. Armor-wise, the hull armor here, it says 150, which sounds good on paper, but in reality, it's actually not very good, and I'll show you why when we have a look at the armor. The turret armor, also not great. Probably the only ones here that can claim to have much turret armor is the Comet, the Panther, and the T-43 a little bit because of its shape. The health is 1100, which is kind of average. The 1300 on the Panther kind of sticks out as an unusual one. View range of 370 is bad, as all Russian tanks pretty much have bad view range. It's surprising on this particular tank though, because it does have that incredible top hat of a cupola. You would think that would give you some great view range, but it doesn't. The Leo also only has 370, and the T-43, also being Russian, only has 370. The best, as usual, is the American with 390, and the others have 380 in this comparison. Let's have a look at the armor layout. Okay, so let's change this to the armor, which is collision. Yeah, there you go. So when I say the 150 is kind of not accurate, there's only these 2 red bands that are 150 mil of armor, right? Whereas the rest of it, this bulk of the armor is 75 mil, and that's really not going to bounce much. You know what I mean? Even if we angle the tank, which really, you know, you're exposing your sides as well because they're similar. They're also they're only 60 mil. But say if we come at an angle like this, 170 mils, we're getting effective armor out of it. 120 down the bottom. It's not going to stop anybody. They may though hit these bands, and you might get a fluke bounce. I think that's the thing. This tank, it is the kind of tank where you can get some fluky bounces. Like if you look at this enormous top hat cupola. It's only 60 mils, but the red areas are 120 mil, and they also have some funny sloped bits, so you kind of get the odd freaky bounce in this tank. The turret is 90 mil, which is kind of not too bad, I guess. Same here, if you get them like in some freaky sort of angles here, you might get a bounce off. They're shooting at you from, you know, an angle. You might get some reasonable sort of bounces and things like that. The mantlet is 90 overlaying 75 in most places, and up here 90 over 90, so you get good bounces on the top of the mantle if they happen to hit that. Fortunately for this tank, the gun is close to the top. That also means you get terrible gun depression. However, it also means that you don't have to expose, if you just pop it over a slope, you're not exposing too much of your tank, and the only part of your hull you tend to expose is this well armored bit. So you might get some bounces here because they're sort of trying to hit your turret or the top of your hull, and they hit this. And that is, I guess, a bit of a trick to this tank, is if you expose this little bit, they tend to shoot at it, and that is your bounciest bit of armour. So you get some lucky bounces in this tank. The sides, as I say, are only 60. The back is 60. There's some weird 95 bits down here. The top deck of this tank is only 30mm, so it can be overmatched by bigger than 90mm guns. So the gun on this tank, for example, would overmatch and be a guaranteed pen on this green area here. I have one shot at this tank with artillery in one of my reviews of artillery, if you've watched that. So the 30mm doesn't stand up good to artillery. Okay. Tier 8 game, and our hero, Icarus 007, is in a Tier 7 medium. So there's a few Tier 8s, so it's not a walkover game, but he does have a good game. So he's just moving out here to do a little bit of spotting, and he spots Type 64 and then decides to get the hell out. Now I'm just going to change this so it shows tank types instead of people's names. There we go. So Icarus is playing on the EU server. He has a ping somewhere between 20 and 40, which is not bad. And he's keeping his gun facing out the back there in case the scout is making its way around. And he's decided not to stay on that flank because not many of his teammates were up there. And he's moving instead up to this side. Now, you're going to see what I think is a really good display of how to use 3 degrees of gun depression on a hill. Now, in case you're wondering, it's not that bit that sticks up at the front that affects the gun depression. It has terrible gun depression all the way around, even out the sides and the back, and it seems to be due to just the low turret. Now, it looked like there he fired after the tank went past, which probably was lag, because the replay doesn't show lag. The replay shows what the server saw, and that's what happens. Sometimes you'll think, how come I missed? And then when you look at the replay will show that you fired after the tank went past. When you have really bad ping, it happens a lot. So anyway, good shot there on the FC50MT, so he's having a pretty good game so far. Now he gets hit and penetrated by a Comet. So that goes to show, if a Comet can penetrate you with standard AP ammunition, then your armor's not great. He also just got penetrated by a T-71DA, so he's paying the price for the low gun depression. He has to expose a bit too much of the tank here. But this is about the right range to use this tank from, because it doesn't have very good armor. You can see here that, I don't know if that shot hit or not, but it was too much of an angle on the Tiger, I think, with the front plate. The front plate's weak, but too much of an angle. Get penned again by the Comet, which is becoming a bit of a problem, that Comet. Yeah, so the armour isn't great, so you really need to fight as a support role. In other words, your heavy tanks are just up there in front, and you hang back a little way and wait for people to make a mistake or pop out and try and get a shot on the heavy, and then you shoot at them as well and hope they're not pointing at you. So then your armour is not that important, because you're using the armour of the heavy tanks in front, basically, to... It's what heavy tanks with armour should be doing. They go up the front, take the hits, and then people like this who don't have armour but still have pretty good guns, they hang around the middle area and get shots of opportunity. And then your tank destroyers hang back further in the bushes and try and blast everyone. At least that's the theory. There's another shot there. As you see, the penetration just really having struggling with that OI there to get through. So the pen's alright, but it's not great. So I don't think he can use any premium rounds here, and he gets a very lucky shot. That happens sometimes when you're in the support role, that people do really silly things right in front of you. Icarus was good map awareness there. Now he aims at the lower plate, but decides to... First he aimed at the low plate, then he changed his aim to the track and went for the tracking shot and got a tracking shot on the OI. I had a green indicator, so I thought he would have penned, but maybe he wasn't confident of penning. He gets rewarded a little bit with 157 points of assistance damage there, so hopefully somebody else hits it. The Skoda T-25, which Icarus has decided to go after, just bounces 2 shots off him. That, I think, was a bit of luck. He looks like he's going to try and bully the Skoda. He knows he's almost out of shots now. The Skoda misses, and as if in justice, we miss it as well. Someone else cleans up that T-25, but this OI actually hits us with HP for a fair bit of damage, 262. However, we return the favour. And then just then, the FCM50T just bounced off us. Where did it bounce? You can see a couple of holes in the turret just there. And in the upper plate though, I don't know if you can see it. See the upper plate just there? There's a couple of bounces. So that area on the upper plate there is the part that was red on Tanks GG when we had a look, and that's the thickest part of the armour. So looks like we've had, I guess, lucky bounces. Going to aim in on this Tiger now. And that is one of the drawbacks of having a long aim time, is that unfortunately other people kill the thing before you can aim. Oh, speaking of long aim time, just points at the T-71, goes bang, because he had to, he was going to go, and gets the hit. So that was a really important kill, and yeah, great. It worked out well. Now, someone else gets rid of that Arky, I think, got rid of that FCM50T, and we got the spotting damage there for it, which was good. Moving back up to the hill on this tank that has 3 degrees of gun depression. And he's, as you can see, the turret turn, how quick the turret turned there is an advantage. And the other thing that's a big advantage of this tank is its manoeuvrability. And he's really demonstrated the manoeuvrability of this tank really well, how he's using these ridge lines, just letting a little bit of his tank pop over and then moving back, continuously changing position on different parts of the ridge line. Aiming at the Tiger here though. The Tiger was ready for us that time though, but we return damage, doing more damage to him than he does to us, which is kind of nice. So yeah, poor gun depression, poor accuracy, good alpha, good pen, good manoeuvrability and pretty good speed as well. And Icarus is showing us here how to use the manoeuvrability and the agility of the tank, and how to use ridge lines when you've only got 3 degrees. And I'm being educated here because I'm terrible at guns, at tanks generally that have poor gun depression. There he goes again. Nice shot there, getting rid of that tank. So we as a team were down, but thanks to Icarus's good work and a couple of other guys on the team, we are now pretty much looking like we're assured of victory. Wow, that aim time takes a long time. That would be frustrating, this tank. Now it's only the KV2 remaining, so and Icarus is a very good member of our community. He, when I took a break for a while and didn't play much World of Tanks, he knows everything about every tank, and often comments on my videos when I make mistakes. Well played, good game. So in case you're wondering, Icarus was playing on the EU server, and he posted the video on the Aging Jedi's page here. And you can put the video up and your stats up, and then I can access it if you just send me a message through if you want to put them up. Generally though, I normally only accept games in premium tank because I don't buy premium tanks. Alright, so it was a mastery game in the tank. I really liked that game because he was working ridge lines in a tank with 3 degrees of gun depression. I was just really good to see how he can use this tank in a not very good situation and still do really well, and maximising the tank's abilities, you know, maximising what it's good at and minimising what it's bad at, and somehow getting through. So great game, really good. So he finished, how did he finish second? Nah, he's listed by damage. I always list by experience. So he finished top for his team on experience, doing 2,562 damage, which is pretty darn good in the tier 7 and the tier 8 game. Really good game. And let's have a look and see. So we fired 18 rounds, 14 of them hit, of the 14, 10 penetrated, so pretty good pen there. Damage of 2,562. I think most of those bounces were on the OI or something, I think, weren't they? And maybe one off the Tiger when it was angled. Most of it was fairly close, under 300 metres, a couple of long range shots though. Hits received 9 and only 5 of them penetrated. So a bit of good luck there, hitting that sort of stronger strip of armour on the tank. So block 610 damage. Damage 7, destroying 5, so just missing out on the top gun there. Damage caused with player's assistance 862, so also managed to get a bit of assistance damage there. And profit-wise, it's not a super profitable tank. You can see we didn't have much in the way of expenses, only 7,000 for the vehicle repair and only 4,800 for ammo, because it did fire 18 rounds. I think it was all standard ammo, but only 17,000 profit, although he didn't have a premium account. If he had had a premium account, he would have had 31,000 profit. So I guess that's okay, but really for a mastery badge, I reckon you should be making more. But yeah, it is what it is. Thank you for watching this review of the A-44. Hope you liked it, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe to Reginaldesq, and have fun.